There's a voice inside you that says, I should have done more by now. You hear it when you're alone. You feel it in the silence. And deep down, it's right. Time is slipping, not in months, in moments. And your brain, the very thing meant to guide you, has become your worst enemy. Because every time something is hard, it tells you to wait. Rest, procrastinate, maybe later. But later becomes never. And that's how life slips away. You want change? Then burn this truth into your mind. Your brain is not designed to make you great. It's designed to make you safe. And greatness never comes from safety. Let that sink in. Your brain is a survival machine. It's lazy by design, efficient, always choosing the path of least resistance. And that's why you keep giving up on your goals. Why you keep going back to old habits. Why you keep waking up feeling behind. But here's the wake-up call. If you don't take control of your brain will take control of your life. That's where the Lotus Method comes in. This isn't motivation. This is war. Because forcing your brain to do hard things is the only path to rebirth. The symbol of the lotus, a beautiful flower, pure, serene, but most forget where it grows. Mud, darkness, stagnant, filthy water. The lotus blooms in the filth that most things can't survive in. And that's the metaphor for your life. You want something beautiful? Then you better learn how to push through the fucking mud. Not just once. Every day. Let me ask you something, and don't lie to yourself. How many times have you quit something just because it got hard? How many dreams died the second they became uncomfortable? How many maybes became nevers? And then you sit there, years later, wishing you had tried harder, regretting that you gave up, feeling like a stranger in your own life. The Lotus Method is built for people like you, people who are tired of feeling stuck, people who are older now but still hungry, people who've lived enough to know that comfort is a prison. And the first law of the lotus is simple. Your brain is a liar, and your soul is starving because you keep listening to it. Let's break that down. Your brain lies to you when it says, you're too old. It's too late. You're not strong enough. Start next week. Let's wait until everything feels perfect. That's not wisdom. That's fear disguised as logic. And fear is the most powerful addiction on earth. You want freedom? Then starve your fear. Force your brain to do the exact thing it wants to avoid. Hard conversation? Have it. New project? Start it. Body out of shape? Move it. Mind full of excuses? Silence it. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Now. Because the truth is, you're not tired. You're disconnected. Disconnected from your fire. Disconnected from your fight. Disconnected from the part of you that used to believe in more. Where did that version of you go? The one who dreamed big, took risks, faced fear, refused to settle. He or she is still in there, buried under routine, under comfort, under self-doubt. But that version doesn't return by accident. You have to drag it out. And it's going to hurt. Because here's the rule that most people never accept. Pain is not your enemy. Comfort is. Every time you run from discomfort, you trade your future for a feeling. And that trade is killing you slowly. So if you're waiting for motivation to save, stop. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a weapon. And forcing your brain to do what it hates is how you take your power back. That's the lotus. You don't wait to feel ready. You act even when every part of you screams not to. Because what most people call hard, the Lotus Warrior calls necessary. You want your life to change? Then here's the real method. Do hard things, especially when you don't want to. Wake up early, even when you're tired. Train your body, even when it's sore. Read, even when you're distracted. Speak the truth, even when your voice shakes. Finish the task, even when your mind wants to scroll. Stay focused, even when the world begs you to quit. That is the path of the lotus, and it's brutal. But so is regret. And you know exactly what regret feels like, don't you? It doesn't shout, it whispers. In the quiet of the night, in the pauses of your breath, in the mirror you can barely look into anymore. It tells you, you were capable of more. You just didn't want it bad enough. So what are you going to do about it? Keep waiting? Keep lying to yourself? Keep living the same year over and over until the lights go out? Or will you rise? Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. If you don't master your mind, you'll die with your potential still locked inside you. And that is the real tragedy. So from now on, every time your brain says stop, you say Lotus. It's not just a flower. It's your command, your reminder, your battle cry. Lotus means you go when it hurts. Lotus means you move in the mud. Lotus means you become more than you were. You force the brain, you break the pattern, you become unstoppable. And this is just the beginning. Let's get one thing straight. You don't need more information. You don't need another book, another video, another excuse. You need action. But your brain hates action when it's inconvenient. Because action requires energy. It demands discomfort. It pulls you out of the mud of your habits, and your brain calls that a threat. But you're not here to play it safe anymore. You're here to change. So let me ask you again, what has playing it safe really done for you? Where has the comfort zone taken you? You sit there, day after day, knowing you were meant for something more, but still stuck in the same loop. Comfortable routines, predictable thoughts, familiar failure. And the worst part? You're getting good at pretending it doesn't bother you. You fake smiles. You say it's fine. You convince others you're content. But when the world goes quiet, when nobody's watching, the real you shows up. And he's exhausted. She's aching for something deeper. And that pain you feel, it's not weakness. It's not depression. It's truth, trying to wake you up. The Lotus Method starts with one brutal rule. If it's hard, it's probably what you need. If it's easy, it's probably what's killing you. So why do you keep avoiding what's hard? Let's break it down. You should. Wake up earlier. Move your body. Finish what you start. Speak your mind. Say no more often. Let go of the people draining you. Stop numbing yourself with distractions. But instead, you scroll. You delay. You make excuses. You tell yourself, I'll do it when I feel ready. That's a lie. You're not waiting to feel ready. You're waiting for it to be easy. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Easy is the enemy. Easy has made you soft. Easy has made you slow. Easy has robbed you of time you can't get back. And deep down, you know it. You weren't born for this. You weren't built for mediocrity. You weren't put on this earth to die with potential still locked inside your bones. So what now? Here's where most people fail. They try to feel their way into action. They wait for motivation. They wait to be in the mood. But warriors don't wait for moods. They move because it's time. That's what the Lotus Method trains into you. It trains your mind to obey your will, to act without negotiating with fear, to take the first step, even when everything inside you screams, don't, because your brain isn't broken. It's just been in charge for too long. You were meant to lead your mind, not be led by it. And it all starts with forcing the action. Every day, in small ways, you create micro-battles. You stand up when you want to stay sitting. You finish the set when your body wants to quit. You write the page when you feel uninspired. You say no when saying yes is easier. You confront the lie in your head that says you'll never change. That's what rewires you. And yes, it hurts. But pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the portal. Because on the other side of that resistance is something you've forgotten how to feel. Pride. Not arrogance, not ego. Real pride. The kind that comes from doing something hard, something meaningful, something nobody will ever clap for. But you'll carry it in your chest for life. You don't need praise. You don't need permission. You need progress. You need to feel alive again. And life doesn't come from repeating yesterday. It comes from fighting for tomorrow. So every time you want to quit, every time your brain offers you comfort, remember this. Growth doesn't happen when you feel like it. It happens when you don't. Let's talk about your mornings. If you win the morning, you win the day. But most people wake up in defeat. They grab their phone. They scroll through noise. They flood their brain with distraction before their soul even has a chance to breathe. That's not living, that's drowning. You want to win your day? Then start with war. Wake up early. Not because it's trendy, but because it hurts. Because every time you do what you don't want to, you're teaching your brain, I'm in control now. Cold shower, discomfort, movement, reading, silence, focus. You don't need a morning routine, you need a morning rebirth. Because if you begin your day with weakness, don't expect to end it with strength. That's the mindset of the Lotus Warrior. You suffer on purpose. You bleed by choice. Because you know that's where the power comes from. And here's the dark truth most won't tell you. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your family, not your friends, not your boss, not your partner, not your God, not me, not anyone. If you want a different life, you're going to have to drag yourself through the fire. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Because every day you stay the same, the roots of weakness grow deeper. You have to rip them out, even if it breaks you, even if it scares you, even if it means losing the version of yourself that everybody is used to. Because they don't know what you're capable of. But you do. You felt glimpses of it. In the silence, in your dreams, in the rare moments when your courage rose above your fear, and you buried it. Because you didn't want to lose comfort. But now, comfort is losing you. It's suffocating. It's shrinking you. It's numbing your soul. So here's your choice. Keep obeying your lazy, lying brain. Or burn that weakness out of you with action. Because the lotus does not bloom without struggle. It grows in the worst of places. And so can you. You were never broken. You were just never taught how to suffer on purpose. How to fight for your soul. How to force your brain to serve you. But now, and that changes everything. Let's get personal now. Do you remember the last time you were proud of yourself? Not because someone else approved. Not because it looked good on social media. But because you knew, deep in your chest, that you didn't quit. Chances are, it's been a while. Because most people don't build moments like that anymore. They build distractions. They build coping mechanisms. They build excuses. But not you. Not anymore. The Lotus Method doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care what you failed at, what you regret, or how far you've fallen. All it asks is this. Will you rise when it's hard? Will you move when it hurts? Will you become what you were meant to be, or will you die a version of yourself that never even tried? That's the crossroad. And this isn't poetic. This is your real life. And your real life is slipping while you scroll through fake ones. Every day you obey your comfort, your future pays the price. And one day, that price will be everything. You'll look back and realize something terrifying. You never lived, you existed, you survived. But you never became. You waited, you watched, you hesitated. And the scariest part is, you got used to it. You made peace with your limitations. You accepted small. You called fear wisdom and delay logic. But it was all the same poison. And now the fire inside you is faint. But it's not gone. Because if you're still here, watching this, listening to this, it means your soul hasn't given up yet. It's whispering, it's begging, it's screaming. Up, wake up, burn it down, build something real. So how do you do it? You force your brain, every single day, because the brain will always choose survival, and your soul will always crave expansion. They're at war. And if your soul doesn't lead, your life will shrink to fit the cage your brain creates. Here's what you need to understand. Discipline is not punishment, it's freedom in disguise. When you train your mind to obey your will, everything changes. You walk different. You speak different. You carry yourself like someone who's been to war and lived to tell about it. That's the Lotus way. And it starts in the small moments, because that's where the battle really is. Not in grand gestures, not in perfect plans, but in the decision to move when your mind says, stay still. To speak when your fear says, stay quiet. To begin when everything in you says, wait until you're ready. That moment, right there, that's where most people lose. But you won't, because you're not like them anymore. You're not waiting to be rescued. You're not chasing comfort. You're not begging for a sign. You are the sign. You are the switch. You are the beginning of the end of your old self, and the start of something no one sees coming. They won't understand your discipline. They'll mock it. They'll question it. They'll try to pull you back down into the average, the safe, the predictable. But you don't owe them your softness. You owe your future, your strength. So protect your mornings, your life depends on it. Because it does. Guard your habits like they're sacred. Because they are. Fight for your energy, it's your last weapon. Because one day, it might be. And when it gets hard, and it will, remember this. You were built for hard. You were made for pressure. You were born to bloom in the mud. That's why it's called the Lotus Method. You're not some fragile thing. You're not too old. You're not too late. You've just been too quiet for too long. But that ends now. From now on, you wake up with one mission. To do what your brain hates. To embrace what makes you uncomfortable. To chase the very thing that scares you. Because the more your brain resists, the more your soul expands. Let that be your compass. If your brain says, don't do it, you do it. If your mind says, it's too much, you lean in. If your habits say, this is just who I am, you break them. Over and over. Until the old you dies. And the real you walks out of the fire. This is rebirth. This is spiritual discipline. This is what most people spend their whole lives avoiding. But not you. You are no longer seduced by easy. You are no longer impressed by approval. You are no longer begging for clarity. You are creating it. One act at a time. One choice at a time. One forced thought at a time. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Relentless, daily, soul-driven discipline. That's the Lotus. You train your brain to move. So your life can finally begin. Let me say something you may not want to hear. You've been wasting time, not just days, decades, and the only reason it hasn't crushed you yet is because you've numbed the guilt with distractions. Food, phone, work, noise, other people's problems, everything except yourself. But guess what? One day, all the noise will stop, and the only thing left will be you, your truth, your regret, your potential. So what are you doing about it? You say you want change, but change costs, and most people go broke when the payment is discipline. So I'll ask again, clearly with no filter, are you ready to do what most won't? Are you ready to become who you were always meant to be? Or will you shrink into the grave with your greatness untouched? This is not a message for the faint of heart. This is for the soul that still burns. Even under all the fear, even after all the failure, even now, you're still here. And that means something. That means the fire is not dead, only buried. And now you've got a choice to make. A final one. Because the clock doesn't wait. Your future doesn't pause. Your pain will either push you or bury you. What's it going to be? The Lotus Method doesn't promise ease. It promises awakening. And awakening hurts. It tears apart the parts of you that were never real. The lies you called identity. The trauma you wore like armor. The habits you thought were personality. All of it, gone, burned off in the heat of discipline. Because the lotus doesn't just bloom. It fights its way through the filth. It breaks through darkness, not light. It rises alone. And it never apologizes for becoming beautiful in the mud. That's your path now. Every single day, from this moment on. You will move when you're tired. You will focus when you're tempted. You will act when you're afraid. You will speak when your voice shakes. You will train, read, reflect, build, confront, and finish. Why? Because this is no longer about goals. This is about your soul. And your soul is starving. The life you're living right now, it's not enough. It never was. You've known that for years. But you stayed in the shallows. Now it's time to drown the weak version of you, so the real one can rise. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need support. You don't need motivation. You need to suffer on purpose until you break the pattern. Yes, it's painful. Yes, people will think you're crazy. Yes, you will doubt yourself every single step. But then one day, you'll wake up different. You'll trust yourself again. You'll walk into rooms with power. You'll look in the mirror and smile, Not because of how you look, but because you know what you've survived. You'll become someone the old you would be proud of. That's the payoff. Not applause, not success. Peace. The kind of peace that only warriors know. The peace that comes after war. The peace that comes after conquering the one thing that's been holding you back this whole time. Your own mind. So what happens next? You make the move. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Now. Because later is a lie. Someday is a trap. Maybe is where dreams go to die. You either do or you decay. You either move or you rot. You either rise or you remain. Those are the only two paths. So when your brain resists, when the excuses flood in, when comfort tries to seduce you again, you don't argue, you don't think, you don't flinch. You say one word, Lotus, and you move, and you rise, and you never look back. This is not a trend. This is not a phase. This is rebirth. And now it's your turn. So turn this video off and go do something hard. Go suffer on purpose. Go fight your patterns. Go face the part of yourself you've been running from for years. And when it hurts, and it will, smile. Because that's the feeling of becoming free. You wanted change. Now you have the method. Use it. Live it. Become it. Lotus, every damn day. If this message shook you, if it reminded you of the strength you've been hiding, then don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to wake the hell up. Because this isn't just content, it's a call to war. Now go and bloom.